The Chicago Bulls are hoping to ride their current 4 out of 5 game winning streak into Philly and beat a team that they have just not been able to have success for since Joel Embiid has been on that team. And if he is active in playing, we're going to talk about that game, preview it, and what the Bulls could do if they want to try to beat the Philadelphia 76ers tonight, plus more right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bulls Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bulls news and content.
All right, Bulls fans, welcome to another episode of Chicago Bulls Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related. If you want to follow me, you can do so right off the top at CEO Haize. That's CEO Haize. And it's game day. You know what that means. The Chicago Bulls are facing the Philadelphia 76ers today. Bulls right now have won 4 out of the last 5 games, and they face a team that they just have not been able to beat with Joel Embiid. And so right now, if you look at this game and how it's all shaping out, the 76ers right now are 13th in points per game in the league. They're third in points allowed as well, only allowing 110 points, 0.5 points per game, which is crazy when you think about it, is depending on how long you've been an NBA fan, that you can be the third best defense and still be allowing 110 points per game. It's just, we're scoring a lot of points in this era, but they have the third best point differential in all of the NBA. Now, if there's any one weak spot for the Philadelphia 76ers, it's rebounding. They are the 27th ranked rebounding team in the NBA. And so with the Chicago Bulls, they come into this game, they rank 3rd in field goal percentage and 20th in rebounds per game. So what the Bulls are going to have to do, they're going to have to play an efficient brand of basketball, shoot the ball extremely well if they're going to want to have a successful game against the Philadelphia 76ers. But on top of that, if they can rebound the ball well, and that's going to mean team rebounding. We've seen games where Patrick Beverley has had 10 rebounds. We've seen DeMar DeRozan have a huge number of rebounds. We're going to have to rebound the ball as a team. Of course, Andre Drummond and Nikola Vucevic are going to be highly important in that part of the game for the Chicago Bulls, but we're also going to have to fight for the loose balls. We're going to have to go after the 50-50 balls, and we're going to have to try to get steals. We're going to have to try to do things that make the game easier for the Bulls, rebounding being the biggest part of that. If this Bulls team can rebound defensively well against the Philadelphia 76ers and play solid defense, at that point then you can get out in the fast break. You can do some things to try to get to that defense before they set up. Because with the Philadelphia 76ers, if you allow them to set up on defense, it's going to be a long night for the Chicago Bulls. So if the Sixers are shooting the ball effectively, if the Bulls cannot play a solid brand of defense against them, if they cannot force them out of their spots, it's going to be a long night. It's going to be a difficult night, and it may be an ugly night for the Bulls down in the city of brotherly love. So we're going to have to see that team. And we've seen this team, have that type of defensive energy and effort, especially lately when they're facing adversity. They have been able to step it up defensively big time, have the Chicago Bulls. They're going to need to do that, plus some in this game if they want to have a successful game against the Philadelphia. You cannot come into this game and take it lightly at all. They are one of the best teams in the NBA for a reason. And with the Chicago Bulls still fighting for their play-in lives, yes, they now hold that 10th spot outright with a 1.5 game advantage over the team underneath them, but you cannot come in here and take this team lightly at all. If you do, it's going to be your ass. Let's just put it plainly, like it's going to be your ass. And if it goes to that, man, it could be an ugly night for the Bulls. So we're going to need to see them shoot the ball effectively and efficiently, share the ball where you can, play great defense, not just solid defense. The Bulls need to be locked in. They're going to have one of their best defensive efforts against the Philadelphia 76ers tonight. Are they up for the test is the biggest question. We're going to need to have the Zach LaVine that was scoring highly efficiently, getting the big buckets. We're going to need DeMar DeRozan, especially down the stretch. And we'll talk about a certain aspect of DeMar's game lately that we will need highly in this game against the Philadelphia 76ers. So we'll see what this Bulls team can do. My faith is starting to be restored in this team, but we face a huge test in their next 2 games. They're both against the Philadelphia 76ers, one in Philly tonight, and then we go home to Chicago on Wednesday to face them. This team has to, you just have to. Now, the other teams around the Chicago Bulls in the standings also have difficult schedules for the most part. I think the Pacers actually have an easier schedule than the Bulls, but you have to come in and you have to play well. Am I calling the Bulls to win this game? Hell no. I'd be crazy to. But the Bulls, if they can come in and play their brand of defense, right, shoot the ball effectively, Billy Donovan can make some adjustments, and Nikola Vucevic and Andre Drummond are going to be highly important for this game, as well as Patrick Williams, right? This is a team that does have size, and how the Bulls counteract that size, is going to be highly important as well when you look at the defensive matchups. If Patrick Beverley can get in the head of James Harden and play solid defense against him, force James Harden to do some of the inefficient things that he's at times been forced to do, it can make the game easier for the Bulls. Those aren't the things that are going to necessarily just outright win the Bulls the game, but those are the things that the Bulls can do to set themselves up in a much better position. And Pat Bev has been so huge for the change of energy around the Chicago Bulls team. When you look at since Pat Bev has come to this team, we're 7-4 in our record in the 11 games we played with them. We have the 6th ranked offense at 120 points per game in there. We have the 5th ranked defense only allowing 112 points per game. We have the 2nd net rating in that. We have a net rating of 7.8 since Pat Bev is there, and 4th in effective field goal percentage at 57.9%. The Pat Bev effect, as we called it when he first came, is real. There's something to that. But also in that, we're seeing Zach LaVine play better. We're seeing even Nikola Vucevic, who was the most consistent Bull, maybe not have the games that he has the huge scoring output, but be a smarter and player and pick his spots a little bit better. And Vooch and Drummond are going to be a key important part of this game. I already talked about what they can mean in the rebounding battle, but Vooch, he's going to have to force Embiid to guard him. And if Vooch can do that, it's a tall order. And I'm not saying that it's anything that's going to be easy for him to do, but Vooch has to come in, at least initially, and try to force Joel Embiid to guard him. Because if he doesn't, if Vooch has one of those games where he's settling at the 3-point line and not trying to get to the teeth of the defense and in the middle of the defense, it's going to be a long night. PJ Tucker is questionable for this game, so we don't know if he's going to play or not. We also have Caruso and Javonte Green both listed as questionable ourselves, which that's an upgrade for Javonte. Caruso did go down with re-aggravating a foot injury in the game against Miami, so we'll see what he means, what he does for this team. But when you look at Joel Embiid, when you look at Paul Reed, who they have, Nang, who's also killed us in certain games, the Bulls bigs are going to have to play big. And if Alex Caruso is in that starting lineup tonight, he's going to have to step up and play some amazing defense, that disruptive defense. And if it is P. Will, we're going to need to see P. Will step up as well. Hit his open shots, be a little bit more aggressive, crash the boards, because again, the team rebounding in this game may be the most important factor in this game for the Bulls tonight, and you cannot overlook the importance of it. But then you have those guards in James Harden and Tyrese Maxey, who Maxey has given the Bulls fits at certain times. You cannot come in here and overlook any position in the starting lineup for the Chicago Bulls. Every player has to try to give that defensive effort, team rebound, and do the things that are necessary for winning basketball games, especially playoff atmosphere games. The Bulls are in a stretch where they're going to be playing a lot of playoff type atmosphere games. And if they can come out in this and play extremely well and have a winning record, they won the week last week, right? But can they come in now against the second best team in the NBA with a true MVP candidate on it and perform to the level that we need them to perform? That is a huge question in this for the Bulls. So we'll see if they're up to the test. I think my light just went out. If they're up to the test, but the Bulls cannot take this lightly at all. At all. We cannot have. They're going to go on runs. And with the way that the Bulls have been facing adversity a little bit better here recently, it's some signs that you can, hope that they're going to play better overall. Because the Sixers are going to go on runs, similar to the Miami Heat. They are going to go on runs, and the Sixers are a much better team than the Miami Heat, and a much more balanced team when you look at, for example, how they're using Tobias Harris here lately, and putting him in proper situations. And DeMar DeRozan is probably going to guard that matchup with Tobias Harris. The Bulls team has to be locked in. This Bulls team has to go. They have to find a way to get that battery in their back and play with the heart that we've been seeing from this team out on the road. The Philadelphia 76ers are riding an 8-game winning streak right now. Can we be the streak stoppers and stop the streak, whether it be in tonight's game or Wednesday's game? And God forbid if the Bulls, I'll tell you what right now, if the Bulls beat Philly in both these games, watch a lot of the Bulls fans that have been saying, oh, it's all over. They're going to come around. So the Bulls, and this is the matchup. These are the matchups that are going to make your season, right? If you're trying to turn your season around, these are the type of matchups that if you can win, will go a long way in actually changing that, in changing the mindset, in building even more confidence than what this Bulls team has been playing with lately. Now, one of the things lately that has been changing for the Chicago Bulls team as well is DeMar DeRozan at the three-point line. In the last 3 games, DeMar is 8 for 14 from the three-point range, and in the prior 3 games to that, he was 3 for 9, only taking 9 3-pointers. He's averaging on the season 1.5 3-pointers per game, so he's absolutely added that 3-point shot here in the last couple of games. Now, it would be a tall task to ask DeMar DeRozan, who for his career is a 29% three-point shooter, to all of a sudden start being a volume three-point shooter. But what DeMar is doing that makes this sustainable is he's taking open threes. He's taking threes in the rhythm of the game. If teams are starting to sag off on him to prepare for him to drive to the lane and try to get to that mid-range, he's spotting up and just taking the three-point shot. And with DeMar doing it and hitting that shot at a high clip, it's really changing the Chicago Bulls offense. It's making him a much more effective player on top of that. And it is opening up the lanes for when he does decide to drive later on in the game, when he does his heroics in the fourth quarter. It's absolutely changing almost the whole complexity of the Chicago Bulls offense. And so, that's something to look out for in this game as well, especially when you have a player like Joel Embiid in the middle. And if PJ Tucker does end up playing as well, which, like I said, he's day-to-day, listed as questionable, we're not sure with that one. But with DeMar DeRozan shooting the amount of threes that he has been shooting, it definitely changes this team for the better, especially when he's hitting them. So I would say this, it's too much to expect, in my opinion, DeMar DeRozan to all of a sudden be this high-volume three-point shooter. But if he's going to be taking 4 3-pointers a game, whereas once he was taking only 1.5 3-pointers per game, and even if he drops down, and right now he's hitting it at above 50% clip, that's a tall order for any player to ask. But if he can even hit that at a respectable in the 33 range, between the 33 to 35 range as far as three-point shooting for DeMar DeRozan, that adds so much to the Chicago Bulls offense that makes it even more difficult to guard, and it allows Nikola Vucevic to go to a little bit more work. And it keeps the team from packing in the lane. It helps bust open zone defenses, which have been giving the Bulls fits in the last handful of games as well. So DeMar is a smart and intelligent player. And while he has his limitations, it's good to see him stepping up his game in a way that's needed on this play-in stretch that this team is trying to go on. So, we're going to need other players to step up. We need Patrick Williams. We need Kobe White. We need Ayo Dosunmu as well. We're going to need these players, especially with Alex Caruso out, to really kind of step up and play, the solid defense, get the Bulls some buckets when they can, but just play smart. Don't hurt the team, right? We can't have another game in which our role players combine for like 11 total points. No, yes, our big three can play really good. And we've seen games where they have absolutely put this team on their back collectively. But we need to see, especially against games like this, we're going to have to see our role players step up in a way that just own your role. Do something that helps positively change the outcome of this game. You cannot continue to have the quiet nights where you don't give anything when this team is drastically needing a player to step up and help support the big three players on this team. And Pat Bev. Pat Bev is always going to step up. I think we've seen that now. Pat Bev is always going to find a way to allow his energy to put this team in a game, or to get the crowd in the game, to uplift the spirits of the players. Patrick Beverley is always going to do that. We need to see other players do that as well with their performance. They're not going to have the vocality or anything of a Patrick Beverley, but we need to see them own their roles and step up and just do something that helps this team win. We got 12 games left on the season. 12 games left. And when you look at that, that is a minuscule amount of games to really try to wrangle in this playing spot and own that playing spot outright. We could talk about the Bulls possibly moving up to 7th or something like that, which isn't statistically impossible. But before we do that, let's hold down this 10th spot. Let's create enough separation between the teams around us that we are that playing team. And if the Bulls do that, and if they can do that over this last stretch with these 2 games against the Philadelphia 76ers, it really does open up the world for the Chicago Bulls to have some of those postseason talks and conversations and see what they can do in the postseason. DeMar DeRozan has already said these last 12 games may be the most important 12 games of his career. You have to step up in that. And Patrick Beverley as well, believing in head coach Billy Donovan. Patrick Beverley said this: I got a coach who believes in me and understands what I bring to the game of basketball. I'm fortunate to play under a coach like Billy Donovan. Got a coach like that, believes in you. You don't want to let him down. And that has been on brand for Patrick Beverley since he came to the Chicago Bulls. He believes in what Billy Donovan is doing. He believes in head coach Billy Donovan's system. And we're seeing that having a point guard that not only believes in, but has the ability to run the system and is a leader out on the court, it has helped changing the tide for the Chicago Bulls. We still need players to step up. And even in this, and all these players that I talked about, I talked very little about Zach LaVine. Zach has to be the player that we paid him to be in this playoff stretch. He has to be. Zach has to step up. It doesn't always mean by coming by scoring 30 points, but it does mean scoring efficiently. It does mean scoring effectively. It does mean realizing if you don't have the shot going for you that night, set up other players and put them in a position to be able to succeed and help this team. Be the leader, right? Or the sub-leader to Patrick Beverley, who really is now showing that he's the outright leader of this team. What the Chicago Bulls do tonight against the Philadelphia 76ers could tell us a lot about how this last stretch of the season, the final 12 games of the season, could go for the Chicago Bulls. Let me know your thoughts down below. Make sure you're following the show at Bulls Central Pod. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, bullscentralpod@gmail.com. Lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for our mailbag episodes, the number to do so, 773-270-2799. We are the number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related. It's game day, so you already know you can catch me live for pre, halftime, and post-game shows all live tonight on the channel. I see you guys there. And like I like to end every episode on, go Bulls. Love you guys. See Red if you can, y'all. Peace.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.